This is American Hope Talk Radio with your host, W.L. Laney. His guests are real people who have overcome real obstacles and are willing to share their experiences with you, bringing hope for the challenges standing in the way of your greater success. Listen while we deal with life as it is today and reveal how hope for the future can bring you more success than you have ever imagined. Now let's get on with today's show.
Hello everyone. Thanks for listening to American Hope Talk Radio, your source for hope, encouragement, and ideas on how you can gain financial independence by owning your own company. My guest is Rick Bisio, author of The Educated Franchisee. Rick has over 15 years of experience in franchising and is here to share his wealth of knowledge with us today. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, WL.
All right, according to my research, there are more than 750,000 franchise units in the United States.
Good research.
Does that mean that franchising is the best way for our listeners to get into business?
No. It means it is one of many ways to get into business, but it has been proven to work.
Okay, so what are the key reasons then for buying a franchise instead of starting from scratch?
There's a learning curve to everything we do. You start a new business from the ground up, and there'll be a lot of things you have to learn. Franchising is designed to reduce your business risk and to allow you down that learning curve faster, along with a group of like-minded people who generally are trying to assist each other in regard to creating success for the group.
Okay. Now, when you get down the road faster, that also means a lot of cash, doesn't it? Because every month you spend in education running your business is a month without income or lower income than what should be normally expected.
Yes, and I've had my own non-franchised businesses, and I've had my own franchise businesses, and absolutely, if you really look at the cost to get into a business, there's a learning curve, and that learning curve costs money. And franchising costs a little bit in regard to the franchise fee, but it should save you money in regard to the learning curve and the cash flow break even.
Okay, what do you say to the people that say, hey, there's no way I'm going to give them 5 or 7 or whatever % of my gross revenue after I've got this company built up and rolling?
Well, I would say that they probably don't fully understand the value proposition. That's one of 4 different legs in regard to the value proposition. The learning curve up front is one of those legs. The second leg is all that infrastructural support, the purchasing power, the marketing power, the CRM systems, the SEO systems, all of the things that franchisors do for the system on an ongoing basis, and that continues to provide value long term. Your fellow franchisees are another value piece of that equation, and being able to speak with other people that are running the exact same business in an honest and open fashion, that's really important too. There's a lot of value in that. And then we talked, it's the resaleability piece of it.
Okay.
All of these are.
But can't I get that same support by being a member of the Chamber of Commerce?
No. You really can't, because they don't understand your business well enough. They don't have a proven business model that you can follow to run your business.
Okay, but I'm associating with other business owners at the Chamber of Commerce or the Better Business Bureau, whatever, or just a group of local businessmen.
Yes, absolutely, and you can provide each other support, but they still don't run the exact same system. They're not running the exact same marketing program in their market that they can tell you what they're doing different from what you're doing. The support can be there, but it will be far more generalized.
Okay, so I'm going to get better support by dealing with the people that are running. Let's say it's a what franchise you want to talk about? Call it an Arby's or a KFC or something. If I'm in a group of a meeting with a group of KFC owners, then that's going to be more valuable than being with a group of guys at the Better Business Bureau.
I believe so, based on my experience. Having owned franchised and non-franchised businesses, I can tell you the advice you'll get from a group of other individuals that are running the identical business will be far more specific and applicable to your business than a group of intelligent business people, all of whom are running different businesses.
All right. Now, Rick, you've been doing this for a lot of years. Is there a personality trait that can be used as an indication that someone might fail or succeed as a franchisee?
Yes, absolutely. Um, I break the world up into two types of entrepreneurs. Assuming you're an entrepreneur to begin with, I believe there are creative entrepreneurs and there are executive entrepreneurs. Creative entrepreneurs are people they got to have their name above the door. It's an extension of their personality, the business. And you can always look at it because it's Joe's, pizza parlor. It's Fred's shoe shine. It's the person's name is associated with it, and it's their personal extension. So absolutely, those individuals would probably be very unhappy in a franchise system. The executive entrepreneur is the one that really doesn't care whose name is above the door. They don't care who created it. All they care about is the results. They're looking for a way to get into a business that's going to give a more predictable result. My father is a wonderful creative entrepreneur. He would be terribly unhappy as a franchisee. Me, I'm an executive entrepreneur. I don't care whose name is on top of it. I just want the darn thing to work.
Okay, so you're more interested in the amount of money going into the checking account or the savings account than you are whose name is above the door.
Well, I think both parties are equally interested in that. They just get at it from different angles.
Okay, so are all industries good for franchising, or are there some industries that are not well suited for franchising?
No, there are definitely industries that are not well suited for franchising. Franchising works well when you have a national organization that can provide strategic advantages, and that it works best when that individual marries with a local entrepreneur who can take that operational system and apply it into a local market. When that doesn't happen, when you don't need a local entrepreneur to make a difference in the success of the business, franchising is not necessarily the best alternative. If you have a manufacturing facility and you're manufacturing widgets, you're probably going to use a distributorship methodology. If you happen to own intellectual property, you might use a licensing methodology. Franchising works best when you marry a national operating system that we know works, and that the local entrepreneur can make a significant difference in the actual execution and success of the business on a local basis.
You're listening to American Hope Talk Radio with my guest, Rick Bisio, the author of The Educated Franchisee. How important is it, Rick, that the franchisee be educated?
Well, I think that being educated before you make a decision is probably the most important thing. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to go to college. None of that really matters. The franchisor doesn't care about that. What they care about is whether or not you have what it takes to go out and to become a successful business owner, and whether you have that fortitude. But as far as being educated, I'm a strong supporter in making educated business decisions based on facts, based on realities, and based on potential for success. Not everyone looks at it that way. A lot of folks look at it and say, well, I love the idea, I would be a customer, and therefore I think everybody else would, so let's give it a swing.
Okay, how many people get into franchising because they think that they're going to be able to hire a bunch of high school kids to do the work, and they can sit at home by the pool with their feet propped up, drinking whatever their favorite beverage is?
Nobody I work with. I make sure that they understand that's not going to happen.
Okay, well, tell us what you do, Rick. You've got the experience. You're here to help people. What do you do? If I send somebody to you that's interested in getting into business, what are you going to be able to do for them?
I work with individuals that are interested in exploring the concept of business ownership through franchising. What I will do is I will start out by helping them try to put together a prospect of what is their skill sets, what are their objectives, what are their financial criteria, trying to understand what that box looks like. And once that's done, my objective would be to find specific franchise opportunities for them that have great track records of success, that are available, territorially speaking, are available in their community, that fit their skill sets and their abilities, and then I teach them how to do their due diligence. Step by step, we walk through the due diligence process, and my job is to help them through that process so when they get to the end, they're educated enough to make a logical decision as to whether or not that particular business or any one of the businesses they've investigated will get them where they want to go.
Rick, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Well, there's a few different ways. Number one, you can email me at rbisio, it's RBISIO, at educatedfranchisee.com. You can phone me. My number is 941-778-4660. Or just put The Educated Franchisee. That's the name of my book. I have a website with the same name. If you just put The Educated Franchisee into Google, there's a lot of ways to find me. I'm pretty transparent.
Okay. And so what are you going to offer people? What's the first step? When they call you, what are you going to tell them?
First of all, I'm going to ask some questions about why they're interested in business ownership and try to determine, the first step is to determine whether or not it's worth taking the time to do the due diligence. There's a lot of people that have objectives, but the reality won't allow them to get where they want to go. And so my first job is to ask a whole series of questions and have them fill out a questionnaire that will help us determine whether or not it's a reasonable objective and a reasonable dream that can be achieved, or whether there's specific things that have to be achieved prior to that.
All right, Rick, I tell everybody that I talk to that the answer to any kind of financial security, the answer to having any kind of a retirement program is really found in business ownership, whether it's an independent or a franchise, whichever, it's business ownership. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely do. Absolutely do. Because when you own your business, no one can fire you.
That's a good thing.
I like that thing. But there's also another thing to think about. Today, when you hit 55 years old, it becomes very hard to find another job that will pay you what you were getting paid previously. When you're 60, it's very hard to find a job at all that has any kind of level of responsibility. But if you're 55 to 60 years old, that's young, and it's getting to feel younger and younger. And there's a lot of potential for achieving things, and you've got a quarter century to live. So my gosh, let's go make something happen.
Exactly. And you're listening to American Hope Talk Radio. My guest is Rick Bisio. He is the author of The Educated Franchisee. You can reach him by telephone at 941-778-4660. And we are both in agreement that the very best thing that you can do is to get into some kind of a business working for yourself. You can't outlive your job. You can't be fired. You can't be put out to pasture when you are the boss. Now, Rick, what if I get to the point where I'm 60 years old, I'm 65 years old, and no, I don't want to retire. I want to keep working, but I physically can't do it. Can I hire people to do the job, and will that solve the problem?
You can, but you need to be financially able to. And you need to have the skill sets to manage those individuals. So if you have the skill sets and you have the financial reserves, can you hire managers to run your business? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, there are specific franchise systems, we call them executive business opportunities, that are designed to be run 100% through management. So yes, it can be done that way.
Okay, so you're saying that you have to be smart enough or skilled enough to be a manager if that's what you're going to try to do.
And you're financially strong enough to be able to hire that manager. Because when you hire a manager, that's money out of your pocket. So your break even will be longer and your profitability will less because of the fact that you have to hire that manager to do your job for you.
Okay, well, that brings up another question. What kind of a return should a buyer expect if they're going to operate a well-run franchise?
That's a very difficult question. Remember, franchising is not an industry, right? Franchising is a business methodology, and profitability is often driven more by industry than it is by business methodology. So, if you're in the restaurant industry, your profitability ranges will be one thing, but if you're in professional business coaching, your profitability ranges could be in a totally different place. Hard to answer that question, to be honest with you.
Any averages? I mean, I went to a business op franchise show here a while back, and there was a person there that was promoting franchising, and they said not to expect to make any money on it for the first 3 years. Is that anywhere near close?
I wouldn't invest in it if that was the case, to be honest with you. I think that, the problem we have, of course, is that people count in different ways. And so if you say the business doesn't show a profit for 3 years, well, there's a lot of reasons why that's probably a good thing. You can take a lot of money out of the business and avoid showing a profit and minimize your taxes. As far as the business itself, on a cash flow break even, where the owner isn't taking a penny out of the business, it takes him 3 years to get to cash flow break even, I honestly think you can do far better than that.
Okay, so what would you suggest that people think as far as the time from opening the door to getting into the black ink? Tax issues aside.
Assuming the owner's not taking anything out and we're running a real P&L, anything from the very first month to 18 months.
Okay. All right. You're listening to American Hope Talk Radio. My guest, Rick Bisio, is an expert in franchising and has written a book which is entitled The Educated Franchisee. Rick, what else do we need to tell our audience today?
Just get educated. I think that's the most important thing. Go out there, get educated, learn about what these things are about. The world is a wonderful place if you embrace it. There's so much knowledge out there. And we can learn these things, and then if we have the personal confidence to go out and do them, don't expect perfection. Nothing is perfect. There's no free rides. There's nothing easy. But the rewards are substantial. And I'm not just talking financial. I'm talking the reward of knowing you are controlling your future, that you are in charge of your own destiny. And I'll tell you what, I sleep really well at night.
Okay.
And,
one of the things that we haven't talked about is the ability of the franchise owner to provide employment to others. A number of years ago, I owned some franchise units. I had over 200 people that were employed by my company. That was a good feeling to go home at night knowing that I was providing a means for 200 families to be able to pay their rent or their mortgage payment, buy gas, buy groceries, raise their children with an income that was stable because my company was stable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a responsibility also. You have a responsibility for those families as an owner. And that's, it depends on how you respond to that. But I think it's just an absolutely wonderful thing to be able to know that you've made that difference. I mean, America was built on entrepreneurism. That's a fact. The United States was built because people came over and said, I want to create a life. And I just think you always need to remember that.
I don't think you just need to remember it. I think you need to act on it as well, because the problems that we're facing today, I believe, can be solved by entrepreneurship, by people getting into business, operating a business, taking care of their own retirement, being responsible for their own well-being, both financially as well as other things, through that business ownership. Rick, thank you for being with us today. Anybody who is thinking of buying a franchise, be sure and get Rick Bisio's book, The Educated Franchisee. Call Rick, 941-778-4660. And if you'd like more information on how to hear this program again, call us here at our office, toll free. It's 855-WL-Laney, 1-855-955-2639. Rick, it's been a delight to have you on the program today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. A lot of fun.
You have been listening to American Hope Talk Radio with W.L. Laney. Questions and comments can be emailed to wl@wllaney.com. Go to www.wllaney.com for more programs like the one you heard today.